look how far we've come, all the things we've done, did it all with love, beauty from the bottom up. All I want is you, you're my favorite view, but there's nothing more, girl, you make my heart beat.
All right, guys, so this is the second episode that I'm doing of me reading You Are Not Broken. We're going to start at chapter 6. There is, I don't even know how many chapters my book has. I think it's 16. There is 15 chapters plus courting phase questionnaires and an epilogue. So I'm going to just be reading this. I'm not going to edit this, so you guys can get all my blunders, all my mistakes. But the goal is to get this book to you by this Friday. Today is Wednesday. So I have to finish the rest of this book in the next two days. So 3 days if you count today. So I'm just going to jump into it. Again, I'm not going to edit, so you guys can get this for free, and I don't have to put a whole lot of time into it because I already put the time writing the book. You guys in the chat, I see you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting me and what I'm doing. And let's get into this. Chapter 6, why? Why did you get married? Be honest with yourself. What was your why? Strip away the romanticized answer. Go past the wedding day, the photos, the promises. Go beneath the we were in love, or it felt right, or it was time. I want the real answer, the one you don't say out loud, the one that sits with you in the back of your mind when you're lying awake at night. Was it love? Was it pressure? Was it the comfort? Was it fear of being alone? Was it because you thought you were supposed to? Because all of your friends were doing it? Because you wanted kids and thought this was the best shot? Or maybe deep down you thought that they could fix something in you, or you could fix something in them. There is very real pressure from society to get married when you grow up. From the moment you're old enough to understand the world, there's this silent expectation hanging over your head. Grow up, get a job, get married, have kids. That's the path. That's the right way to do life. And for generations, that pressure has been pushed down like gospel. It's been baked into movies, religion, family traditions, schoolyard conversations. Your religion, family traditions. I read that twice. You're expected to fall. I really should edit this shit. You're expected to fall in line, check the boxes, and do it with a smile. Marriage, that was never supposed to be a question. It was just something you do, like paying taxes or aging. But now things are shifting. The younger generations are pushing back loudly. You see it all over the internet. People talking about how marriage is a scam, how love is dead, how the system is rigged, especially against men. The red pill movement, the manosphere, influencers with thousands of followers preaching some jaded gospel. They've made it their mission to tell you that marriage holds no value. That if you're a man, especially if you're what they call a high value man, you should avoid marriage like it's a trap. They'll tell you women want your money, that the courts will destroy you, that love is weakness, that commitment is for suckers, that the moment you put a ring on it, she changes and you're screwed for life. And let's be honest, some of them aren't completely wrong. A lot of men have been screwed. A lot of women have too. The system isn't perfect. People can be manipulative. Love can rot if it's built on a fantasy instead of truth. But here's the thing that almost no one wants to say out loud. Most of us aren't high value men. And I don't say that to insult you. I say that because most of us aren't living in the world these influencers are talking about. I'm going to pause for a second because most of them aren't living in those worlds either. Most of them are renting high-end vehicles. They're renting lofts. They're doing things to put on a facade to show you the life that you should believe that they're living when most of them are not. I have seen so many people who have bedrooms set up like Twitch studios to make it look like that's their bedroom to game. And it's a whole separate room of their house that's built for recording. There's a whole lot of lies on the internet, guys. It's all an illusion. We're not jet setting to Dubai. We're not running multi-million-dollar empires. We're not doing cold plunges at 4 a.m. before checking stock portfolios. We're not alpha male personas. We're men, regular ass men who wake up early, clock into work, bust our asses to pay bills, and just want some peace at the end of the day. We are the electricians, the warehouse guys, the plumbers, the soldiers, the retail workers, the dads juggling second jobs. We're not trying to dominate the world. We're just trying to build a life, a good life, one that means something. One we want to live instead of simply existing in. And sometimes that's all we're capable of doing. For a lot of us, marriage did seem like the way to do that. To have a partner in this struggle, to have someone in your corner, to build a home, to raise kids, to grow up, who grow up knowing stability and love. That dream isn't stupid. It's not weak. It's real. And it matters. But you have to be honest about why you wanted it in the first place and whether the person you chose to build it with was truly right for you, truly right for it. Life isn't meant to be lived alone. We are social creatures, and having a partner is a way to make your life better. When regular people try to live out Instagram fantasy relationships, or when we try to build something sacred while pretending we're emotionally bulletproof, we fail. Not because marriage is the problem, but because we never learned how to do it right. We were never taught how to communicate, how to listen, how to be vulnerable without being emasculated. We were taught to tough it out, man up, shut up, and suck it up. And that's how marriages fall apart. That's how resentment takes root. That's how you wake up one day next to someone you barely recognize, wondering how the hell you ended up in a life that feels more like a prison than a partnership. That's when you look in the mirror and the man staring back at you doesn't look familiar. So yeah, society pushes marriage, the internet pushes back, and here you are stuck in the middle trying to figure out what's real. And so many of us have no idea what the fuck we're doing. Here's what's real. Marriage isn't for everyone, and that's okay. It's not for me or anyone else to tell you that it is or isn't for you. What you should or shouldn't do, you have to live with that choice. But for those of us who want it, it can be good. It can be powerful. It can be the best thing that ever happens to you if it's built on truth, self-awareness, and mutual respect. But if you go into it blind, driven by pressure, fear, ego, or loneliness, but if you go into it blind, driven by fear, pressure, ego, or loneliness, because it will eat you alive. I should have said don't. Typo in that. I had multiple people read my book and nobody caught these typos, which means nobody read the shit out loud. They probably just skimmed it. Fuck yeah, To Be Better Tribe. We're all fuck ups. I love it. Love you guys. So take a hard look at your beliefs. Did you want marriage because you were ready or because you felt like you had to? Were you trying to build something real or trying to fulfill a script someone else wrote for you? And now, with all of that behind you, what do you actually believe about love, about commitment, about building a life with someone? Don't let social media tell you what to believe. Don't let society guilt you into following a path that you don't want. And don't let fear stop you from wanting something meaningful. You're allowed to want a connection. You're allowed to want love, but you better know what it takes to build it and what you're bringing to the table this time around. This is your life. Don't live it by default. Live it on purpose. Here are some stats about marriage and what it can do for men. Married men have a lower risk of depression and a higher likelihood of satisfaction in life, with life in retirement than unmarried peers. I'm going to reread that because I stuttered through that. Married men have a lower risk of depression and a higher likelihood of satisfaction with life in retirement than their unmarried peers. Marriage is linked to better cognitive function, a reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease, improved blood sugar levels, and better outcomes for hospitalized patients. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but it was in a study done by Harvard. Married men and women live on average 2 years longer than their unmarried counterparts. Married people are more likely to eat better and are less likely to smoke and drink excessively. Research suggests that married men are less likely to have metabolic syndrome than unmarried men. Income. Married men earn more, save more, and generally have access to a second income. Poverty. Married men in their prime years are less likely to be living in poverty. Household income, even controlling for household size, age, education, race, and ethnicity, married men have significantly higher household income than unmarried peers. Social support. Marriage provides social support and reduces feelings of loneliness and meaninglessness. Work performance. Marriage may encourage men to work harder, smarter, and more responsibly. Divorce risk. While the risk of divorce exists, most marriages, perhaps 60%, go the distance. Relationship satisfaction. Married people are more likely to have a satisfying sex life. That last one, when I read that stat, I was kind of shocked by that because I know we get emails all the time about people who are in sexless marriages, and that just really goes to show that you can be in a relationship and not have a relationship. Back to the book. Studies suggest that men tend to experience greater mental and physical health benefits from being in a relationship, are less likely to initiate breakups, and struggle more with the emotional toll of a breakup. Now, why did you get divorced? Another question that demands your honesty. Was it betrayal, neglect, loneliness? Did the love die? Or was it never fully alive to begin with? Was it something they did or something that you didn't? The answer there is it was both of you. Was it the slow buildup of unmet needs and ignored warnings? Did you lose yourself? Did you stop showing up, or did they? The answer there is, it was both of you is in parentheses, just so you guys know. I read it out loud there. I probably should have waited to the end. Did you know it was over long before you finally said it out loud? These aren't easy questions. They're not supposed to be. They're heavy because the decisions behind them carried weight, real weight. Marriage and divorce are not casual moves. They're tectonic shifts. They change you. They shape your past, redefine your future, and ripple out into every life connected to yours. And now here you are again, asking yourself the next big question: why do I want to start dating again? Think about that. Not in a swipe left, swipe right, I miss having someone around kind of way. I mean, really think about it. What's driving you to put yourself back out there? Is it loneliness? Is it desire? Is it hope? Or is it validation? Or are you trying to fill a void? Are you finally ready to build something real? You need to know the answer, because if you don't, you'll repeat the cycle. You'll walk into the next relationship carrying the same wounds, the same blind spots, the same patterns, and you'll break it before it even has a chance to grow. And this is where the work begins. We've said it before and I'll say it again. The most important decision you'll ever make in life is who you choose to marry. That choice has the power to shape everything: your happiness, your peace, your sense of self, your legacy. Right behind that, whether or not you choose to have children. And those two decisions aren't just about you. They're about other humans' lives as well. Real people who will be affected by the choices you make. Let that sink in. When you get married, you are binding your life to another human being. When you have kids, you are choosing to bring new life into this world and saying, I will guide you, I will protect you, and I will give you the best of me. These are not casual choices. They are sacred responsibilities. And yet we treat them like check boxes, like just another part of the adulting playbook. But the truth is, once you cross those lines, your decisions are no longer just about you. Every word you speak, every choice you make, every weakness you ignore or excuse, it all impacts someone else, someone you made promises to, someone you may have trusted with your future, someone you may have created. The weight of that is heavier than most people are ready to carry. And that's why so many people buckle under it. It's why so many relationships fall apart. It's why so many kids grow up watching two broken adults pretend to be whole. So if you're here, if you're reading this and you're considering dating again, don't do it lightly. Don't do it just to feel something or to distract yourself. Do it because you've started to understand yourself. Do it because you've started asking the hard questions and facing the real answers. The outcome of love, of marriage, of family is unpredictable. There are no guarantees, but if you do the work now, if you learn who you are and why you've made the choices you've made, if you walk forward with clarity and integrity and accountability, you'll give yourself a shot at something better, something lasting, something real. So let's keep going. You've made the mistakes, so have I, so has everyone. But if you're willing to dig deep, to get brutally honest, to stop running from the truth, you can break the cycle. You can build something worth keeping, and it starts here with the why. Now that you've sat with all of this, really sat with it, I want you to do something most people will never do in their entire lives. Pause. Take a day or two, no distractions, no skipping over the discomfort, let it settle. Let the truth rise to the surface, let the emotions punch you in the chest if they need to. If you've read a lot and it's not surface level stuff, this is so deep, don't rush it, don't numb it, just sit in it. Then I want you to grab your journal and start writing. Not texting, not typing, writing. There's something powerful about putting pen to paper. It pulls the noise out of your head and turns it into something you can actually see and confront. You're not doing this for social media. You're not doing it for sympathy. You're doing this for you. So don't lie to yourself. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't write what sounds good. Write what's real. Empty your mind. Spill everything. The frustrations, the regrets, the blame, the pain, the truths that you've been avoiding. Get specific, get raw, and don't stop until you've drained it all out. Then read it, reread it, sit with what you wrote, see what's really there, because that is your blueprint. On one side, you'll have all the perceived shortcomings, the things that they did or didn't do, the ways they let you down, the ways the relationship didn't work. Be honest about it. Don't minimize their part. That matters. But right next to it, and this will be harder to admit, you'll have to write your own side of it. Your patterns, your triggers, your choices, your failures to listen, to show up, to speak, to change. And that's where the real gold is. That's the part you can do something with. If you see a lack of understanding, great. That's a signal. You need to start learning how to communicate. If you see unresolved anger, good. Now you know that you've got healing to do. If you see avoidance, silence, defensiveness, jealousy, fear, now you've named the enemy. You can fight what you won't face. You can't fight what you won't face. This isn't about taking all the blame. That's not what this is. And believe me, I've been there. When I went through this process, I tried to take it all on my shoulders. I told myself my marriage was my fault. My failed marriage was my fault. That if I had just done more, been more, fixed more, it might have been able to have been saved before it got to the point of me stepping out. But eventually I learned the truth. I can't control another person, not their thoughts, not their choices, not their willingness to change. But what I am in control of, my thoughts, my actions, my habits, my healings, who I allow into my life, what I accept, what I build. And piece by broken piece, I started fixing myself, not to win someone back, not to impress the world, but to stop living in patterns that kept burning me alive. To stop cycles of depression and hate I didn't want to live in, and I knew that if I didn't change, I would end up dead. I looked at everything I hated about myself, about my old relationship, about the way I used to show up. I looked at what I craved, what I needed, what I would never settle for again. I did the work, the hard, slow, humbling work. And because of that, I found someone who fit, someone I didn't have to attempt to mold into the right person, someone that already shared my wants and values, someone who met me where I was because I finally knew who I was. I built a relationship not based on fear or fantasy, but on truth and trust. I built a life I love and a marriage that I'm so fucking proud of. But I didn't start with luck. It didn't start with luck. It started with right here, with the journal, with the truth, with the work. This is your beginning, and it's going to be hard. It's going to hurt, but you lean into it and stop running from the truth. You'll come out on the other side stronger, clearer, and ready for the life that you actually deserve. It's time to do the work. Chapter 7, loss. If you're fresh out of a breakup or divorce, it doesn't matter which side you were on, whether or not you ended it or got left. You're feeling the weight of it. You're feeling loss. Even if the relationship was toxic, even if it was dead for years, even if you know deep down this was the right move, there's still grief. And not enough people talk about that. Your entire world just got flipped upside down. The life you were used to, the routine, the familiarity, it all got shaken like a snow globe. And now there's shit flying around your head like a tornado. 1 minute you're fine, strong, ready for the next chapter. You're like, hell yeah, I needed this. And the next you're crying in your car at a red light, wondering if you made a huge mistake. Second guessing everything, maybe even thinking about going back. That back and forth, that's emotional whiplash. That is normal. That is grief. And grief is not linear. It's messy. It's unpredictable. It doesn't care about timelines or logic. It shows up when it wants, how it wants, and it hits hard. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're human. You're processing the death of a relationship, and make no mistake, that's exactly what this is. A breakup or divorce is a death, not just of a partnership, but the version of you that existed inside of it. The life you were building, the future that you thought you were walking toward. So yeah, it's going to hurt. And one of the reasons people stay in relationships that make them miserable, relationships where they don't even like each other anymore, is because change is brutal. Leaving is terrifying. It's why people give up on their dreams, stay in jobs they hate, surround themselves with things and people that drain them. Because even if it sucks, at least it's familiar. And the thought of starting over, it's paralyzing. You start spiraling at the what ifs. What if I can't afford to live on my own? What if I lose everything? What if I'm alone forever? What if no one else ever wants me? What if I regret this? What if I miss them and they move on? Let me give you the hard truth. One thing that might sting, but you need to hear it. You are already unhappy. All those what ifs, the obsessing over, you're acting like you're losing paradise. You're not. You're leaving survival mode. You're walking away from something that was already costing you more than you could afford emotionally, mentally, and maybe even physically. And yes, you may lose some of the things, the house, the furniture, the stuff you worked hard for. I get that. It's painful, it's unfair, and it's scary. But here's what you've forgotten. You've already built that life once. You already made something from nothing, and you can do it again. The things you own shouldn't own you. It's my favorite thing from Fight Club. You shouldn't be a slave to comfort or a prisoner to routine. You weren't born to cling to stuff while your soul withers. Read that again for you guys. You weren't born to cling to stuff while your soul withers. Yeah, it might be hard to let go. It might suck to lose the things that you collected, but there's a chance, a real one, that letting go might be the most freeing thing that you ever do. Because when the dust settles, when you're not carrying all that emotional dead weight anymore, when you're not walking on eggshells or bracing for the next fight, when you're waking up one morning and no one is draining your energy just by being in the same room, that's when you finally get your life back. That's when the real healing starts. And that freedom, that peace, you can't put a price tag on it. There's something else that I think needs to be said, something important that people don't always talk loud enough about when they come out of a breakup or a divorce. Having your own space again is a gift. It might not feel like that at first, especially when the silence hits, especially when the routine is gone and your days feel hollow. But over time, little by little, you start to realize the power in having your own four walls, your own energy, your own damn peace. All these little things that used to get under your skin, the messes, the noises, the passive aggressive tension in the room is gone. You don't have to sit in the driveway anymore, mentally preparing yourself, wondering what you're walking into, a fight or a kiss. The weird pit in your stomach, the anxiety, that's gone too. Now, if you want to play video games in your underwear at 2 a.m. while yelling at 12-year-olds online, you can. If you want to make cereal for dinner, blast your music, rearrange your furniture at midnight, leave your laundry unfolded on the couch for 3 days, guess what? No one's there to judge you. No one's there to start a fight over it. You get to exist on your own terms again. That's not a small thing. That's freedom. And for a lot of people, it's the first time that they've tasted it in years. But, and there is a but, there's also the other side of it. There are going to be moments where all you want to do is turn to someone and say, you're not going to believe the day I had. Moments when you want to share a laugh, a memory, a dumb joke. Moments where something happens and your instinct is to text them because they were once your person. And that's when the I miss them creeps in. And I want you to pause right there and I want you to understand something. What you're feeling in those moments, that's not necessarily missing them. It's loneliness. I wrote that's loneliness talking, but for you guys listening, that's loneliness. You don't miss the toxicity. You don't miss the arguments. You don't miss the feeling of being unseen, unheard, or dismissed. What you miss is a connection. You miss having someone to talk to, someone who used to know the little things, someone who, even if things were rocky at one point, got you. You miss the warmth, the familiarity, the social feedback that said, you matter and I see you. That's human. It's wired into our biology. But here's the thing. If you had someone else right now who was emotionally healthy, supportive, who filled your social battery and gave you the positive affirmations without the toxicity, that ache, that I miss them feeling, it wouldn't exist. You don't miss the person, you miss the presence. You miss being understood, being heard, and being valued. And that's something that you can absolutely have again when the time is right, when you're ready, when you've done the work. So when that loneliness creeps in, don't let it rewrite the truth. Don't let your mind paint the highlight reel of a relationship that, let's be honest, was bad enough to end. Feel the emotion, sit with it, but don't confuse it with regret. You're not broken, you're adjusting. I'm going to pause the reading here. These are the times that you guys should fucking journal. When you have that loneliness feeling and you're feeling broken and you're feeling disconnected and you feel like there's nothing out there, your journal is a fucking lifeline. And as you guys heal and you go through the process and you get to a position where you have a relationship like my wife and I do, you are going to look back on those journals and be like, that was really fucking hard, but I am so much stronger because of it. It's important to keep your journals too. There's a lot of reflection that can be done as you evolve. Back to the book. There are going to be nights that it hits harder than others. The kind of nights where the silence feels heavy, where the bed feels too big, where the loneliness creeps in like a slow fog and wraps itself around your chest, where all you want more than anything is to hear someone's voice, to vent about your day, to share a stupid meme, or just say, today sucked, and have someone say, I know, I got you. But they're not there anymore. And in those moments when you feel like breaking, when you want to start scrolling through your phone just to not feel alone, when your brain whispers, maybe you should call them, I want you to do something different, journal. Yeah, that again. But not because it's trendy or therapeutic or something you'll post about online. Do it because you need it. Do it because it's your only outlet that doesn't talk back. It doesn't judge. It doesn't need you to sugarcoat anything. Open up, grab your pen and let it pour. Write to your future self, that version of you who made it through this. Tell them how hard today was. Tell them how much it hurt. Tell them how much you wanted to quit but didn't. Tell them you're proud of them for staying strong, for healing, for becoming someone that you couldn't even imagine right now. Tell them, I can't wait to meet you. Because you will meet them. Journaling has been very therapeutic for me, and I apologize about the waterworks. My journal has been there for me since I was a kid through all of my abuse, my homelessness. It's why I have them everywhere I go. And it's why I always go to them when I can't process my thoughts and emotions. Looking back at all that I had gone through, and in writing these books is an outlet for me. And this is part of my healing process. And I'm grateful that my healing process is able to give something to you guys that may shed some sort of light on your life and hopefully give you some sort of healing too. Back to the book. And those words you write tonight in the middle of your pain, your exhaustion, your loneliness, they have power. They're not just ink on paper. They're a bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. So don't hold back. Let it be messy. Let it be real. Let it be yours. Your words will remind you who you are when the world feels cold. Your words will carry you through nights like this. And one day you'll look back and read them and realize that even though you thought you were breaking, you were rebuilding the whole damn time. This is where your soul is learning how to be alone without being empty. This is where you start building a life so full, so honest, so aligned that someone finally does walk into your life again. They're just the bonus, not the fix. You've got your space now. Use it. Fill it with peace, with progress, with whatever makes you feel alive again. The best part of your life doesn't have to be behind you. Now that you've sat with the pain of loss, the chaos, now that you've unpacked the grief and seen it for what it is, it's time to do the next hard thing, acceptance. No more denial, no more rewriting the story in your head to make it more comfortable, no more bargaining with the past or hanging on to what ifs. It's time to accept what is and then move forward. Accept the end of the relationship. It's painful. It's heartbreaking. It's not what you pictured when you started, but it happened. This is your reality now, and you cannot heal from what you won't admit. The relationship is over. Maybe it ended with a fight. Maybe it ended with silence. Maybe it ended long before the breakup actually happened, but it's done. And accepting that truth is the first step towards reclaiming your life. Forgive yourself and them. Forgiveness doesn't mean you're excusing the bullshit. It doesn't mean that you're saying it was okay. It means that you're choosing not to carry the weight of that resentment anymore, because dragging that pain around, that's not punishing them. It's punishing you. You can't move forward with a clean heart if your hands are full of blame. Focus on your future, not the fantasy of what you thought your life would be, but the real, raw, honest version of what it can be. Reflect on who you are, your strengths, what makes you feel alive. Start dreaming again. Start planning again. Start becoming the best version of yourself that doesn't need a relationship to feel whole, but will welcome love when it's healthy and right. And please remember this: you are worthy of love and happiness. The end of a relationship doesn't mean you're unlovable. It doesn't mean that you failed. It means that relationship, that version of love, was not meant to carry you forward. You are not the breakup. You are not the pain. You are still deserving of a life filled with connection, peace, and joy. You can have that with someone compatible with you. Because the truth is, not everyone is meant to stay. Sometimes people fall in love with the idea of someone or the potential they saw. So much fucking shit with our podcast. This is not the book. So much shit with the podcast, with you guys writing in saying, how do I fix him? I know the man he can become, or I know what she's capable of. You cannot love someone into the potential that you believe they fucking possess. You need to love them where they are. Shit frustrates me so much when those emails come in. I just want to grab people and shake the fuck out of them. And sometimes people are on their best behavior in the beginning, charming, funny, thoughtful, always putting the best foot forward. Then months or years in, the mask slips. The quirky habits that used to be cute now make you want to slam your head into the wall. Let's not pretend that doesn't happen. Or maybe it wasn't a deception. Maybe you were both just young, hopeful, trying, period. And it simply didn't work out. You gave it a good run. You fought for it until there was nothing left to fight with. I intentionally wrote with and not for, guys. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to say we tried. We loved each other. It was beautiful at times. It's okay to say we haven't been happy in a long time. It's okay to say too much damage has been done. Because once the ugly has shown up, once the respect has faded, once the communication breaks, Once the pain piles up and goes unhealed, it doesn't just go away. You can't hit reset. You can't pretend it didn't happen. You can forgive. Sure, you can forgive. But forgetting, rebuilding, getting back to what it once was, going back to what it was is not possible. Going back to once was what is not possible. My brain does not like that sentence. Going back to what going back to what once was is not possible. That's funny. I wrote this. I swear I wrote this. 7th grade, guys. 7th grade. That's not a dig. Real shit. That's not negative self-talk. There's a lot of truth in it. This is not relevant to the book. I'm going to tangent for a second. There's a whole lot of realization in me that I would be dumber had I stayed in school. There's a whole lot of, I would have been taught to remember instead of think for myself had I stayed in school. And though my grammar and my ability to write proper grammar and do all of that might not be the greatest thing, I still think that I'm nailing life. So my joke of 7th grade means that they didn't teach me proper grammar, not that I'm dumb. Back to the book. It's not possible to go back because once all that hurt has settled, new has to be built. Too many are wanting to go back instead of forward. And that's not failure. That's life. People change. The way we see each other shifts. If you don't grow together, you will grow apart. And if too much ugly has come in between you, the foundation has cracked beyond repair, then choosing to let go isn't weakness, it's strength. So honor the good, mourn it. Say thank you for what it taught you and then let it go. You don't need to carry it with you anymore. You don't need to keep reliving it. You don't need to hate them to move on. Wish them peace, wish yourself peace, and walk forward into the life that you actually deserve with your head high, your heart open, and your eyes on the future. I'm lumping self-care into this section because it belongs here. I'm talking about the real kind of self-care, the kind that keeps you from spiraling, the kind that grounds you when your whole life feels like it just exploded. For me, the gym has always been that anchor. Some seasons I fall off, life gets chaotic, motivation dips, time gets tight, but the weights, they never left me. They're always there waiting, solid, simple, unchanging, and when the world feels like it's spinning too fast and my thoughts are racing, the gym is my go-to. It's where I go to quiet it all down. Iron doesn't care what you're going through. It doesn't ask questions. It says, pick me up and let's go. And when the gym wasn't enough and I needed to really breathe, I'd throw on my shoes, grab my weighted vest, and I would head out on a long ass hike. No destination, no pressure, just space, nature, silence, and time to think, time to feel, time to remember that I'm still alive, that I still exist outside of the heartbreak. Those long walks turned into many adventures, little resets, moments that reminded me that I'm not stuck, that there's still beauty, still movement, still possibility waiting for me down the path. When I went through my divorce, I leaned into those things hard, the gym, the hikes, the hobbies that I let go of when I was too busy surviving the relationship that was falling apart. They were always in the background, but now they become vital. Not just distractions, not time fillers, they become lifelines. And you need to find yours. I don't care what it is, lifting, running, hiking, building, something with your hands, painting, playing guitar, reading, cooking, riding a motorcycle, writing poetry, whatever it takes. Whatever makes you feel more you, do that. Because when you're healing, you need places that feed your soul. You need outlets that let you breathe. You need activities that remind you that you're not just someone who went through a breakup or a divorce. You're a whole ass person with interests, passions, energy, and a life to live. You need to carve out space where you aren't someone's ex. You're just you. So lean into it. No more excuses. No more putting yourself last. Find your self-care. Find your passions and do them. Not once, not when it's convenient. Make it a part of your routine. Make it a non-negotiable because it's not selfish. It's survival. And this is a new season of your life. And in this new season of your life, showing up for yourself is the most important thing you can do. The last thing I want to touch on in this chapter is therapy. And look, I already know some of you are reaching for the page corner, ready to skip this part or jump to the next section. Like it doesn't apply to you. Maybe you think, no, I'm good. This isn't for me. Don't skip this. You bought this book. You're here. This tells me you want to grow. So don't pick and choose the easy parts. Therapy still has a huge stigma around it. And I want to say this with full force and no filter. That stigma is fucking stupid. Yes, I said that with intention. I need you to feel how much I hate that idea, because the truth is we all need help sometimes. Think about it. We have zero problem asking a buddy to help us fix something that we've never done before. We'll pay someone to work on our car, build something in our home, do a job we know damn well we can't do as well on our own. We'll go to the gym and hire a trainer. We'll even Google 10 YouTube videos to figure out how to fix shit like a leaky sink. So why is all of this okay, but talking to a therapist is somehow taboo? Why is it okay to tell your life story to a stranger at a bar, someone who's likely just as emotionally wrecked as you, but it's weird to talk to someone who is trained specifically to help? It doesn't make sense. What are you actually afraid of? Looking weak, saying it out loud, someone in your life judging you for needing support? Let me be clear. If someone claims to care about you and gives you shit for going to therapy, they don't really care about you. Not in the way that you deserve. Therapy doesn't make you broken, it makes you brave. It means you've decided to take your healing seriously. I lost my page. That you're tired of carrying the same weight around, tired of bleeding on people who didn't cut you, tired of pretending that everything's fine when it's not. Therapy gives you tools. It gives you clarity. It gives you a chance to work through things that you've shoved down for years, stuff that you might not even know is still affecting you. So don't skip it. Don't blow it off. Don't keep saying, I'll think about it later. You've already been through the fire. Therapy is where you start learning how to rise from it without dragging the smoke into everything you touch. If you're serious about changing your life, this is part of it. Take it serious. You deserve peace. You deserve healing. You deserve a mind that doesn't feel like a battlefield. Go to therapy and screw anyone who tells you otherwise. Real quick, I would be remiss right now to not plug BetterHelp. Guys, we have betterhelp.com/to-be-better. This is something that you can get a discount when you go to their site. Their discount changes based off of the what we're currently partnered with them, but there's always some sort of 10% deal. It makes it online. It's very easy to use. Peaches has used BetterHelp. Like there's value to it. You can do it in the middle of the night. There's therapists all over the world who's a part of that program. So here's something else to seriously think about when it comes to therapy, especially if you were with someone for a significant amount of time. When you're with someone for years, your lives get entwined. You don't just split from a partner, you split from their world. Family, friends, coworkers, social circles, group chats, holidays, shared memories, and mutual connections. It's all tangled. And here's what you may not want to hear, but you need to. Most people don't want to take sides. Even if you think you're closer to certain people, even if you've known them longer, even if they should have your back, they probably just want to stay neutral. And can you blame them? They don't want to be they don't want to be the one sitting in the middle while both of you bash each other. They don't want to hear your heartbreak and theirs. They don't want to choose. They don't want to choose, period. And the second you start venting, now they're carrying a version of the story that has weight and consequences that they're stuck in the middle of, whether they like it or not. Now, sure, you might have the one friend who loves drama, the one who wants all the tea, who asks just enough questions to stir the pot. You'll also have people who say they're just listening, but behind your back, they're repeating shit that they never should have. Stuff that you told them in confidence. This has actually happened to me. And before you know it, everyone's talking, twisting the story, sharing half-truths, weaponizing details you'd wish you'd never said out loud. And suddenly you're fighting with your ex again because of something new. I'm sorry, not because of something new, but because of something that you vented in a moment of vulnerability that got back to them. Now the situation's worse. Now truth is shattered. Now it's more toxic than before. And why? Because you needed someone to talk to, because you were hurting and looking for a safe space, but you went to the wrong person. This is why therapy matters. But because it's neutral, it's safe. It's someone who doesn't know your ex, your family, your circle of friends. They're not involved in the mess. They're not going to run their mouth at brunch or accidentally slip and make things worse. They are there for you, to listen, to challenge you, to help you sort through the wreckage, to figure out how to move forward without torturing everything around you. So yeah, maybe your friends all mean well, but they're not equipped for this. They've got their own bias, their own shit, their own limits. And when they're trying to heal from something real, something heavy, something life-changing, you don't need more chaos when you are trying to heal, not there. You need clarity. You need someone you can talk to, be honest with, who won't judge you, someone without skin in the game. Therapy gives you that. It gives you a peace, to be honest, space. It gives you space to be honest without worrying who is going to repeat it. It gives you perspective without judgment. It gives you the tools to heal without making everything worse. So don't confuse casual support with professional guidance. Again, don't confuse casual support with professional guidance. And don't hand your heartbreak over to someone who doesn't know what to do with it. Talk to someone who can actually help you carry it. Talk to a therapist. You're not weak for needing help. You're strong for giving a damn enough to get it right. Before moving on to chapter 8, I want to touch on something. While writing this chapter and talking about therapy, every time I mentioned a therapist in this, I was able to relate my life and my situation with my divorce to what I went through with Peaches, because I did online like coaching and I talked to people, but I unloaded all of my life on Peaches. She was neutral territory to me. And we've talked about this a lot on the podcast. And we've talked about it in live streams. There was no expectations there. The worst that was going to happen is she would have fucked off out of my life and there would have been no skin in the game for me. I wasn't trying to be with her. She was a friend of my ex, or she was the ex of my friend, excuse me. So she was off limits to me. Like there was a whole lot of things that happened before the feelings started getting brought in, and having the ability to truly unload on her and it not get circled around, let me process things from my journal audibly out loud with another human being. And it gave her the ability to be like, that was really fucked up. You shouldn't have done that. I can see how this hurt you. There was so much fucking power in that. And if I didn't have Peaches to lean on and go through, I would have 100% been back in therapy. I bring that up now simply to tell you guys that being completely honest and ugly and vulnerable with people when you meet them could be a godsend. It could allow you to see people for who they really are. It'll allow you to, I don't want to say test them, but essentially you would be able to see how they're going to handle you at your worst. And they're going to know who you are at your core because you're not holding back. Chapter 8, Solitude and Love. Shout out to the chat who's currently hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys being here. It means a lot that you're supporting me in this. All right. There's going to come a point in all of this where silence hits harder than anything else. Not the fights, not the last conversation, not the division of property or who gets the dog. Not the awkward text about canceling the shared Netflix. None of it. It's the quiet that hits the hardest. It's sitting on the couch and realizing that it's just you. It's not just that they're not in the room. It's not that there's no one checking in, no one to ask you how your day was, no one to argue with about what to eat. No one is sleeping on the other side of the bed. It's the echo of your own thoughts bouncing around in an apartment or a house that feels unfamiliar, even though it hasn't moved. And yeah, it sucks. You try to fill the void. You scroll your phone like it's going to fill space. You blast music. You binge watch shit you don't even care about. You think about calling someone you probably shouldn't. You eat junk food or just stop eating altogether. You pour a drink, you pace, you clean, you pick up your phone again. You tell yourself just checking in or seeing how they're doing. But let's be honest, you're chasing a hit of something familiar, a hit of connection, even if it's toxic. The silence is screaming and your brain is doing anything it can to avoid listening. But here's the truth. You're not actually afraid of being alone. You're afraid of what being alone feels like. You're afraid of the version of yourself that's been buried under a relationship. You're afraid of the thoughts that come up when no one else is distracting you. You're afraid of your own unmet needs finally staring you in the face. But that fear, that uncomfortable raw space, that's where the work happens. Because when everything is stripped away, the conversations, the chaos, the codependence, the noise, you're left with you. Not the you presented in the relationship, not the filtered performing, please don't leave me version, just you, flawed, messy, and real. You finally meet yourself in the silence. And at first it feels like punishment, but if you sit in that space and not run from it, you'll realize something. Solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is freedom. Solitude is taking yourself out to dinner and not giving a damn who's watching. It's laughing out loud at a meme and not having to explain to someone who never thought you were funny anyways. It's walking through your place and realizing that everything in it now reflects you. It's playing whatever music you want, wearing whatever you want, eating cereal for dinner if that hits. If that's what hits. I actually really fuck with cereal at dinner time, guys. That's why it's in this book so much. I don't do it because it's not healthy to eat Reese's Puffs like an entire box at a time, but I can. It's making a mess and not having to apologize for it. It's cleaning up and not being resented for trying to control everything. It's going to bed at 7 p.m. if you're exhausted, or staying up to 2 a.m. working on your own shit because you're in the zone and no one's complaining. Solitude is control of your time, your space, your energy, your body. It's no longer being picked apart. It's no longer begging to be heard, no longer swallowing your voice just to avoid another argument, no longer putting your needs last. They had a bad day. Solitude is peace. And peace isn't always pretty. It's often boring, but damn does it feel good when you finally realize how toxic the chaos was. You get to breathe again, to process your pain without anyone dismissing it, to have a bad day without being told you're too much, to exist without feeling like you're constantly disappointing someone. And then something wild happens. You start to like the quiet. You start to trust yourself again. You realize you're sleeping better, eating better, laughing more. You're showing up for yourself in ways that you didn't even realize you needed. And the version of you that's slowly being rebuilt in the silence, the version that doesn't need approval, the one who doesn't choose or chase temporary affection just to avoid feeling alone, that version of you is dangerous in the best way, because now you know you don't need anyone. You want connection, but you're no longer willing to bleed for it. You're no longer begging someone to love you halfway. You're not scared to walk away. You're not scared to walk away from what you don't deserve. I'm sorry. You're not scared to walk away from what doesn't serve you anymore. Doesn't serve you kept reading as scared in my brain. I don't know why that was a thing. Because you know, deep down in your gut, you can stand on your own. Alone is no longer punishment. It's a choice, a boundary, a sanctuary. And when you get to that point, when you've embraced the stillness, faced your fears, and stopped distracting yourself, you'll realize this time alone was the best damn thing that could have ever happened to you. So sit with it, let it heal, let it hurt. And when you finally let it hurt, let it heal. And when you finally step out of it, you won't just be someone who survived heartbreak. You'll be someone who met themselves and didn't look away. You'll be someone whole. Learning to love yourself through the silence. Let me say this now and get it out of the way. Self-love isn't some feel-good quote on Instagram. It isn't bubble baths and spa days and whatever bullshit marketing wants to sell you. That stuff can be nice, sure, but loving yourself, it's raw, it's ugly, it's work. Really uncomfortable. Sit in your own shit kind of work. It doesn't come from someone telling you you're worthy. It doesn't come from likes or comments or being wanted. It comes from deciding on your worst days when no one is watching, when you feel like nothing, that you matter. It comes from choosing to show up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. And let me be blunt here. If you're fresh out of a breakup or a divorce, you probably don't love yourself. Not in the way that you should, not in the way that you deserve to. Most of us never learned how. We confuse being needed with being valued. We confuse being wanted with being loved. We think that because someone chose us once, that it meant that we are enough. And when they stopped choosing us, we broke. But they didn't break us. We were already cracked. We just never noticed it until the silence set in. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. You have to relearn who the hell you are after a breakup, not the version that you of you that adapted to them, not the version of you that adapted to them, not the one who walked on eggshells or compromised themselves just to keep peace. I mean the core of you. The you who existed before all of the disappointments, before you stopped asking for what you needed, before you convinced yourself that playing small was the same thing as being easy to love. So how do you start loving yourself? You start by facing the mirror, not metaphorically, actually looking at yourself in the bathroom, in your bathroom, wherever. Strip away the filters, the bullshit, the performance. Look at yourself in the eye and sit with the discomfort. Ask yourself, who the fuck am I? And if the answer is, I don't know, good. That's honest. That's a starting point, because if you can admit that you don't know who you are, you can start figuring it out. That's where it begins. It's not knowing. It's the not knowing. Now let's talk about the hard part, forgiving yourself. That's the cornerstone of self-love. And I know it's brutal. You probably blame yourself for a lot. For what you said, for what you didn't say, for staying too long, for leaving too soon, for the nights you shut down, the mornings you picked fights, for everything. I know, I've been there. But you need to stop treating yourself like the villain of your own story. You were doing the best you could with what you had at the time. I'll say that again. You were doing the best you could with what you had at the time. The best you could with what you had. If you had known more, you could have done better. That's growth. That's being human. You have to let yourself off the hook. No more forgiving yourself. And no, forgiving yourself doesn't mean avoiding accountability. You still need to own your shit, journal it, write it out, get it all down. What you did, what you think you did, who you hurt, who hurt you. Look at it all with clear eyes. And then here's the important part. Tell yourself that you're still worthy, that you're still lovable, that your mistakes don't cancel out your humanity. This is also where you start keeping promises to yourself. That's how trust is built. That's how you fall in love with yourself again. Not by grand gestures, but by the small, consistent things You say you're going to hit the gym, go, even if it sucks. You say you're going to stop texting your ex, mean it. You say you're going to wake up and start journaling, open the notebook and do it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your brain takes note. It starts believing that you're someone worth depending on. It's fucking huge, guys. And that's the foundation of love, dependability, safety, consistency. So give that to yourself. And when the loneliness hits, which it will, remember this, being alone doesn't mean you're unlovable. It doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're in a season of transformation. That space where you feel, where the old you dies and the new one starts breathing. Don't fill that silence with noise. Don't drown it in hookups or distractions or pretending that you're already fine. Sit in it, listen to it, let it teach you. You will learn you don't need someone to complete you that you never did. That was a lie. You need someone who complements the love that you already have for yourself. Not someone to fix you, not someone to rescue you, just someone to walk beside you. And that means that you have to become the kind of person who doesn't abandon themselves. I almost put a whole ass thing in here about the metamorphosis of moths and butterflies and things that go through a cocooning phase, because that is actual growth. Gross. It is pretty gross too, if you think about it. It's actually really gross when you think about it, because when they become a cocoon, they become a liquid mush. It's pretty fucking disgusting. It's like nature's snot. Yeah, it's pretty yuck. But I was going to put a whole thing in here about the transformation phase and how all of those things have to happen alone. If a spider molts, if you've ever watched a tarantula like shed its skin, it'll flip over on its back and it'll come out of its own stomach. And there'll be a shell of what it used to look like. And it takes time for its fangs and its body to harden enough for it to hunt again. There's a whole lot of metaphors that can be played in there. And I almost did it, but I ended up not doing it. Back to the book. Start loving the parts of you you've ignored. The quirks, the flaws, the weird shit. Talk to yourself like someone you actually care about. Cook yourself a meal like you're worth the effort. Clean your space because it's your sanctuary, not just because company is coming over. Put on clothes that make you feel good, even if no one is around to see it. Love is in the effort. And if you're not willing to put that effort into yourself, why would anyone else? You may not believe it yet, but one day you're going to look back at this season in your life and realize it made you. The heartbreak didn't break you, it built you. All the nights that you ugly cried and couldn't catch your breath, the mornings you forced yourself to get up, all the times you felt worthless and kept going anyway, that's self-love. That's what it looks like. It doesn't always feel good. It's not always inspiring, but it's real and it lasts. You are not broken. You are becoming, and and that is a powerful thing. So start now. Today is today, this minute. Love yourself enough to sit in the mess. Love yourself enough to face the mirror. Love yourself enough to heal, because no one is coming to do it for you, but you are more than capable. And while you're at it, let's redefine love. Let me say something that's probably going to piss you off or sting, or maybe make you close the book for a minute to catch your breath. You didn't know what love was. Yeah, that thing you call love, that roller coaster of emotion, the chaos, the codependency, the push and pull, the constant ache to be enough for someone who gave you breadcrumbs, that wasn't love. It was need, it was fear, it was comfort and dysfunction. It was the lie that we tell ourselves to justify staying in something that is slowly killing our self-worth. It was control, trauma bonding, feeling needed instead of being seen, habit dressed up like passion, sex confused with connection, pleasing someone so they wouldn't leave. That shit wasn't love. But we didn't know better. We were trying to be wanted, trying to feel worthy, trying to earn love like it was a prize you get if you just do everything right. So here we are on the other side of heartbreak, divorce, breakup. And now you get to redefine what love means. You get to rebuild it from the ashes of whatever this mess you just got out of. Let's start by talking about what love is not. Love is not walking on eggshells. It's not staying quiet so that they don't blow up. It's not shrinking yourself so they feel bigger. It's not being the emotional punching bag because they haven't dealt with their own trauma. It's not guilt tripping. It's not gaslighting. It's not weaponizing silence. It's not control disguised as care. Love does not make you question your worth. It doesn't make you beg for attention, affection, or basic decency. It doesn't tell you that your emotions are too much, that your needs are inconvenient, that your boundaries are rejection. If you had to trade pieces of yourself just to keep the relationship alive, you weren't in love, you were surviving, and that's not the same thing. Love isn't someone needing to be fixed. It's not you sacrificing yourself to fix them either. You are not a rehab center. You are not a therapist. You are not their parent, and they are not yours. It doesn't say I'll only be here when you make me feel good all the time. It doesn't disappear the second you stop performing. So what is it then? Love is peace. It's not the absence of hard conversations, but the safety to have them. Love is being able to exhale in someone's presence. It's choosing each other when it's inconvenient. It's I see you in the quiet moments. It's showing up without needing to be begged. It's the effort without being earned. It's safety, not comfort. Don't get it twisted. Comfort can be found in chaos if that's what you grew up in, but safety, real safety, that's different. It's still, it's calm. It doesn't make your nervous system feel like it's on fire. Love is accountability. It's two people who own their shit, who say, I messed up, who make space for each other's growth instead of demanding perfection. Love is consistent. It's steady. It doesn't ghost when things get hard. It doesn't punish. It doesn't hold grudges and throw them at you months later like weapons. Love isn't always sexy. Sometimes it's boring, mundane, repetitive. That's okay. Because love is a steady flame, not a fireworks show that explodes and disappears. If you grew up thinking chaos was love, calm will feel unfamiliar at first, maybe even wrong. It's not your gut telling you to run. That's your trauma reacting to unhealthy or too healthy. That is not your gut telling you to run. That is your trauma reacting to healthy. So how do you get that kind of love? You start with you. You become the person who can receive the love, hold it, match it, protect it, and do that. You've got to stop chasing versions of love that broke you. You've got to sit in silence and stop running from it. No more numbing, no more distraction, no more chasing someone just so that you don't have to hear your own thoughts at night. You face your demons, you feel the grief, you look at all of the ways that you abandoned yourself to be loved. You stop doing that. You learn to like your own company. You learn to speak gently to yourself. Stop calling yourselves names in your own head. Stop performing for the love you want and start embodying it for yourself. You take yourself out. You eat alone without shame. You sleep in the middle of the bed. You journal. You sweat. You heal. You grow. You hold space for the hurt and still push forward. That version of you, the one who doesn't need someone else to feel whole. The one who has standards, not walls. Who knows their value doesn't settle for half-assed effort or mixed signals. That's the version who's ready to love. Because if you don't love yourself, you'll keep calling these things love that are anything but. You'll mistake intensity for connection, jealousy for passion, manipulation for commitment, and you'll keep repeating the same patterns in a prettier packaging. So redefine it, start over. Write your own definition of love, one that isn't trauma colored, one that's rooted in truth, not survival. What do you want? What is your definition of love? Write it down, read it, refine it, and remember it. Love is calm. Love is effort. Love is shared values, not just shared traumas. Love is partnership. Love is both people showing up, not just one person carrying the weight for two. Love feels like freedom, not fear. It's not butterflies. It's sense of, that's my wife. She just said that she's proud of me. For doing this. It's not butterflies. It's a sense of grounding, a sense of home. It's knowing you can be fully yourself and still be chosen. But before you can demand that from someone else, you've got to give it to you. So here's the call out. Stop settling. Stop chasing broken people and calling it love. Stop making yourself small to be digestible. Stop being someone else's emotional punching bag in exchange for crumbs of attention. If it costs you your peace, your self-worth, or your identity, it's not love. You get to redefine it now. You get to choose what love looks like, what it feels like, what it acts like. And when you meet someone new, if they don't match that, if they can't respect the new standards, let them go. You've worked too hard to heal to bleed for someone else's comfort again. You didn't come this far to settle for the same shit in a different body. This time love better feel different or it isn't love at all. She fucking got me with that text message. Fucker. She really is my biggest support in life. I hope that I'm able to give that back to her the way that she gives it to me. Chapter 9, confidence. If you're just getting out of a relationship that lasted any significant amount of time, I'm going to take a wild guess and say you're out of shape. And yeah, I mean physically when I type that, but let's not pretend it stops there. You're likely mentally and emotionally out of shape too. I'd bet money that somewhere along the way you started eating your loneliness. You fed your frustration. You numbed your depression with takeout and snacks and whatever sweet, salty, carb-loaded comfort food was in reach. And not just when you were sad, also when you were bored and when you felt invisible and when you were trying to feel anything. Food addiction is real. Sugar is not just a craving. It's a chemical hit. I'm not exaggerating. Science backs this up. Sugar affects the brain like a drug. It lights up your reward system, triggers dopamine, and gives you a rush. Studies show rats preferred sugar over cocaine. Mice had withdrawal symptoms when it was taken away. This isn't just indulgence. It's a coping mechanism disguised as self-care. And let's not forget the other daily rituals, your iced coffee, your just one energy drink, that sugary bullshit Starbucks creation that you sip every morning like it's sacred. You're not fueling your body. You're trying to wake the hell up from a life that burned you out. Then there's the alcohol. God, the alcohol. The one glass of wine that turned into 3, the couple of beers after work that numbed your brain just enough to deal with the silence in your house. You weren't drinking to relax. You were drinking to escape. And the irony is alcohol is a depressant. It dehydrates you, messes you up, messes with your sleep, lowers your serotonin, and leaves you worse than when you started. And if you were topping it off with NSAIDs, the cure to a hangover, congratulations, your likelihood of depression just jumped another 40% over the baseline alcohol blues. But none of this happened overnight. It was a slow decline, a creeping slide into disconnection. And now you're looking back on it all. And let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt desired? Not tolerated, not touched out of obligation, not given a quick kiss goodnight. I mean desired. Like someone looked at you and wanted you. Was it your partner that made you feel that way? Be honest. It's probably been a long time. What about emotional intimacy? That likely died years ago. And sex, when was the last time that happened? Maybe it still happened on birthdays, maybe anniversaries, maybe out of guilt or pressure, or even then it felt mechanical, forced, like one of the damn things on the list of responsibilities. One more way to perform instead of connect. You both stopped liking each other long ago. You stopped seeing each other. You just coexisted under one roof in the same house, living 2 separate lives. And how fucking sad is that? No wonder you're depressed. No wonder you're anxious, disconnected, or exhausted. No wonder your body feels wrecked. Your brain feels fried. You were living in an emotional, mental, and sexual purgatory, a space where nothing was being fed, not your soul, not your spirit, not your body, just a long, slow starve masked by routine. But now you're out. Maybe not fully healed, maybe still broken in places, but you're no longer dragging that dead relationship behind you like a weighted chariot. Like a weight chained to your ankles. A weighted chariot would have been a very good fucking thing for that. I missed an opportunity there. You're no longer gasping for air inside of life that didn't feel like yours. You finally took a deep breath. I'm not saying the breakup or divorce didn't wreck you. Of course it did. Of course there are nights you cried until you couldn't breathe, days you felt like the world was crumbling in on yourself. That's grief. It's real. It's valid. And you should let yourself feel every second of it. But here's the other side of that truth. Your relationship was bad enough to end in divorce. Then, whether you realize it yet or not, there is a freedom in the ending. You get to live your life for you now. Not for someone else's expectations, not to keep the peace, not to walk on eggshells. I know I'm really fucking hammering this over and over again in this book. not to keep performing a version of yourself to just survive the day. You get to rebuild, to reconnect, to reset everything. Now is the perfect time to reclaim your health. No more waiting, no more excuses, no telling yourself when I feel better or after I sort this other stuff out. This is the time you've ripped your life open. You've let the truth pour out. You've seen what wasn't working. So now is the perfect time to start building a new foundation. And it starts with a choice. Yes, we're going back to journaling because you already know that's your anchor now. You're writing to process, to face things, to make sense of the mess. But this isn't just emotional work. It's a total transformation. Your mental health, your physical health, your emotional resilience, your energy, and your identity. It's all connected. So you're going to journal, you're going to meditate, you're going to read, you're going to relearn who the hell you are without the relationship weighing you down. You're going to find your hobbies again. The stuff that used to make you feel alive, you're going to take your ass to the gym. I put that as its own line in bold. And then I wrote underneath of it, that line, I meant it. Now to be clear, you don't have to go to an actual gym, but you do have to move. Go for a walk, go for a run, get outside, hike, swim, bike, do something, anything that gets your heart rate up, challenges your body, pushes your lungs, and forces you to sweat. Your body has been screaming for this. Your mind has been begging for it. And I hate to break it to you, but it's also time to clean up your diet. No more emotional eating, no more crap every night, taking the edge off, no more pretending that your gut doesn't affect your mood, because it does more than you think. Your mental health is directly tied to your physical health. This includes your gut health. The food you eat literally sends signal to your brains. And if all you're feeding yourself is processed garbage, sugar bombs, and chemical cocktails disguised as food, no wonder you feel like shit. No wonder you're foggy, tired, anxious, depressed. You want clarity, you want energy, you want to stop feeling like a bloated zombie who's dragging through life, then fuel your body like it matters, because it does. Here's a hard truth. Over half of the US population is obese. Over half of the US population is obese. In children, I actually think it's higher than that. What a fucking statement. And a terrifying chunk of those people aren't just carrying weight, they're walking around malnourished. Our food isn't even real anymore. It's processed filler and empty calories, cancer-causing, hormone-wrecking, addiction-triggering poison dressed up in pretty packaging. So yeah, it's time to get serious. You know that they had to create an organic food label so that we would know that our food was healthy, because they could not sell the shit that they're eating if they labeled it as poison. Let that fucking sink in. You guys are so worried about counting calories that you fail to count the ingredients on your fucking tomato paste. You want to feel better, look better, perform better at work, in life, in bed. You want to walk past a mirror, not avoid eye contact with yourself. You want to be proud of your body, confident in it, comfortable enough to strip down without shame. Then it's time to put in the fucking work. Because fitness isn't just about aesthetics. It's a straight up weapon for self-worth. Every time you hit a new milestone, every time you knock out another workout, every time you didn't want to, every pound lifted, every lap ran, every moment you pushed instead of quitting is a win. And those wins start stacking up. They start pushing. They start building something inside of you: confidence, pride, and self-respect. Your physical fitness journey begins with a reflection of your mental toughness. It shows you what you're made of. It tests your grit, and then it starts breaking personal records. You start outlifting the old version of you. You start feeling yourself getting stronger day after day. It changes you completely. But let me warn you now, there will be days that you want to quit. And if you do, that choice will follow you. You'll walk through your day with that taste of failure still in your mouth, that voice in your head reminding you that you bailed on yourself. Not because you were injured, not because you were sick, but because you didn't feel like it. And and that feeling will gnaw at you. That's your subconscious talking. It's telling you to stop being a weak little bitch, to stop living like you're powerless, to get up and go again. And next time that moment comes, you'll remember how it felt to quit, and you'll push through. You'll fight harder. You'll finish what you started. And when you do, you'll walk out of that workout with your chest out and your head high and clear, thinking, all right, world, what else you got? That's what confident feels like. Not the fake kind, not the bravado, the hype. Earned confidence built one rep, one step, one disciplined decision at a time. So let's go. Move your body, fuel it with real food, get your head clear. You've already survived the storm. Now it's time to rebuild the fortress one brick at a time. And though you're doing this for you, your physical and mental health will for you and your mental health, period. It will help when you find someone to have confidence to talk to them. I'm struggling right now because there's a line in here. This is after behind the scene book, I guess. This building it one brick at a time. I used to own a gym here in Port Charlotte called the Jungian, and it was a powerlifting gym. We had Atlas stones, strongman equipment. It was a very raw, no mirrors. Everything was built by like legit powerlifting companies, and it was not a very big gym. But the community that we built inside of that gym was unparalleled to anything that I've ever experienced in the gym community. And like we had nights in there where the power went out and everybody that had their cars up at the front of the building would go outside, turn their car on and turn the lights on, their headlights on, and we would lift in the fucking dark. And when people were doing like their own personal records, if somebody was about to squat, deadlift, or bench heavy for the first time, or they were getting ready to do something they've never done before, everyone in the gym stopped what the fuck they were doing. The radio got loud. They got what they wanted. People started screaming. And one of the things that we yelled at everyone was one brick by brick, one brick at a time. Like that was a motto for us, because you are literally building your life one fucking brick at a time. Every one of those lists that you got prior to that personal record got you to being able to lift that personal record. So that one brick at a time is a sentimental thing for me. Confidence isn't just about how much you can lift or how fast you can run. It's also about emotional regulation. And honestly, that part might even be more important. Knowing that you can work through conflict without exploding, without spiraling, without letting your emotions hijack the moment. There's a kind of peace that a lot of people will never know. Being able to pause, stay calm, think clearly, and respond with intention instead of reacting out of ego or fear. That's power. That's maturity. That's confidence on a whole new level. And if you come out of a relationship that was full of chaos, fighting an emotional mess, then you already know how valuable that kind of calm is. Let's be real here. We've all had the moments, the ones that make you wince in hindsight. I shouldn't have said that. I handled that wrong. I didn't even try to understand them. I just defended myself. That's normal. It's human. No one's perfect, but that doesn't mean that we get to ignore it, because you can't grow from what you refuse to own. You will never change who you are just because someone else wants you to, especially in the heat of an argument. When you feel like you're being attacked, when we feel cornered, our defenses go up, pride kicks in, ego takes over, and suddenly we're not trying to understand. We're just trying to win. No one wins an argument or a fight in a relationship. And if you think you won, how did the rest of the day or night feel? I bet it didn't feel good. That's survival mode. That's your lizard brain reacting to perceived danger. It's instinct. It's normal. But your partner shouldn't be the threat. Unless you're dealing with a true narcissist or an abusive person, and if you are, get the hell out, then chances are they weren't coming at you to tear you down. They were coming at you because something in their world felt off. They wanted their partner, you, to help fix it. But instead of working through it, you went into defense mode. You focused on being right instead of being present. Why? Because your brain told you to protect yourself instead of your relationship. So no, don't expect to change just because someone else wanted you to. That rarely works, but you will change for you. When you're not in a fight, when your head is clear, when you're ready to actually take an honest look at yourself, this is why you've got the journal. Open it, read through everything that you've written so far. Look at the parts where you screwed up, where you shut down, where you didn't listen, where you reacted instead of responding. Are you proud of those moments? I mean, seriously, are you? Does it make you feel good knowing that those flaws are still running the show? Now it's time to change, not for them, not to win someone back, but for you. So you can look in the mirror without flinching, so you can respect the person staring back at you, so you can say, yeah, I had some broken pieces, but I did the work to put myself back together. That means taking full ownership of your shortcoming. Yes, I did those things. Yes, I knew better. Yes, I didn't do better. Yes, I let pride, ego, laziness, anger, or fear get in the way, but now I'm doing something about it. This isn't about taking the blame or letting your ex off the hook. They did what they did. They are who they are. You aren't. They aren't you. You can't change them, the past, or the way things ended. You can only change you. Start finding the tools you didn't have before. Read books, listen to podcasts like the To Be Better podcast. Shameless plug, but seriously, it helps. Treadmill time with podcasts is the shit. Start learning what healthy communications look like. Start practicing emotional control, not just for your next relationship, but for every relationship, because the truth is these skills don't just matter in marriage. They matter everywhere. Work, friendships, parenting, conflict with strangers, you name it. Everything in life involves another human being, or that involves another human being, comes down to three things: communications, respects, and how you handle pressure. And all of it gets stronger when your confidence grows. Not the loud chest thumping kind, but the kind built in silence and accountability and emotional intelligence. This is the work, the uncomfortable. It's confronting, it's humbling. This is where growth happens. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to confidence and building the new you is this. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. Never. I don't care how old you are, how far you think you've fallen, how long you've lived as someone you didn't recognize. If you're still breathing, you've got time to change everything. We all have those styles we admire from a distance. You know what I mean? The looks that we wish we could pull off, but talk ourselves out of. The truth is you can pull them off. You're just too stuck in your own damn head. You're too critical, too judgmental, too scared to give yourself a little grace and just try. You feel uncomfortable, which is exactly what change feels like. Growth is never cozy in the beginning. It's awkward. It's clunky. It feels like everyone's watching, but here's the thing. That feeling of discomfort, that's a sign that you're doing something different, something better. You can choose to see it as exciting or let your anxiety chew you up and keep you stuck in place. When Peaches and I do photo shoots, I always end up loving how I look when I'm dressed up, suits, boots, even a cowboy hat. And look, I'm not a cowboy. Yeah, I can ride a horse, but I live in the city. I'm a lot more at home in basketball shorts and jeans. And every time I put on something outside my usual, there's this little voice that creeps in. You look stupid. You're too fat for this. You're too skinny. You're not this guy. Someone's going to call you out. You're a fraud. That voice has ruled me in the past. I've let it hold me back, made myself smaller just to avoid feeling like an imposter, but not anymore. Now I wear what makes me happy. I dress in a way that makes me feel good, aligned with the version of me that I want to be, because here's the reality. You spend more time worrying about what people think of you than people spend actually thinking about you. That's a hard truth to swallow, but it's also freeing as hell. Most people don't give a shit about what you're wearing. They're too busy worrying about their own insecurities. They're judging themselves. You are judging yourself harder than anyone else ever will. They're not thinking, God, look at this guy in boots. They're thinking, I hope no one notices how uncomfortable I am in mine. So wear the thing, try the new style, show up how you want to feel, not how you think you're supposed to. And while we're on the topic of clothes, let me hit you with something that might sound hippie talk, but it's real. Your clothes hold energy. I mean, energy is everywhere. It's everything, every object, every person, every word carries a vibration. And whether or not you believe in energy in a spiritual sense, you felt it. You've picked up a shirt and thought, this doesn't feel right anymore. It's not your imagination. That's real. I believe the clothes we wear soak up the energy of the days we live in them, the arguments, the heartbreaks, the breakthroughs, the joy, and over time that energy sticks. Some of my favorite shirts, the ones that I wore through hell, I can't wear them anymore. They just don't feel right. They're tied to a version of me that I've outgrown. That's a loss, yes, but it's also evolution. Which brings me to this. Now is a perfect time to rebuild your wardrobe. It doesn't have to be expensive. Hit discount stores, thrift shops, clearance racks. I don't care. Just be intentional. Protect your energy. And choose peaches. I choose peaches. Choose pieces that feel aligned with where you're going, not where you've been. Think about when you were a kid and school was about to start. That back to school shopping, that was a reset button. New clothes, new shoes, new haircut. It wasn't about looking good. It was about becoming someone better. You showed up the first few days to be the best version of yourself. You felt fresh, focused, and ready. Well, guess what? You're still allowed to do that. You're grown now. You don't need permission to evolve. You don't need approval to upgrade. You want to change your style, your vibe, your energy, do it. Even if it's one shirt at a time. This is part of building the new you. This is not superficial. It's symbolic. You're not putting on new clothes. You're putting on a new identity. And that version of you, that future version, doesn't care what other people think. They don't care how they feel. And that's the version we're going to keep working towards. So keep going. You're becoming someone worth showing off. That chapter, a lot of that is obviously gym and mental health. And then obviously the clothes aspect of it came from after we did our first ayahuasca ceremony. Peaches and I did a massive purge of our house. And one of the first things that I attacked was my closet. And there were things that I really should have thrown away that I still held on to, that I have folded up on the top shelf that I just am not ready to let go of yet. And that makes me believe that the energy is still there, that there's still something that I'm holding on to that I haven't worked through yet enough to throw that shirt away. But I will tell you that in the 8 months that's passed since our first ayahuasca ceremony, I have thrown away some of those clothes, and I have gone back and I have re-audited my closet, and I have been purging shit. We've been throwing away a lot, and there's been a lot of changes made. And For those of you who are like really into the podcast, you know that we've talked about my pile of clothes on the other side of my bed. That's not a thing anymore. There's no clothes on my floor. I don't do that at all, because I know that if I had a moment in the day that was ugly, my clothes are holding on to that. I don't do that. Chapter 10, negative self-talk. Let's fucking go. I have new beliefs on negative self-talk since I wrote this book. Maybe I'll get into that at the end of the chapter. When you're building confidence, self-esteem, and self-worth, you can't skip the hard stuff. And naturally, the next step in that conversation is one we've all dealt with in silence: negative self-talk. And let's be honest, this is something that most of us do without even realizing it. It's become automatic. Background noise, just part of the way that we speak to ourselves when no one else is listening. And it usually starts young. We were told explicitly or through years of subtle digs. We were told explicitly or through years of subtle digs that we weren't good enough. Too stupid, too fat, too ugly, too loud, too sensitive. Don't try that. You'll fail. Stay in your lane. You're not cut out for that. Every time we were shut down as kids and told we couldn't do something, laughed at for dreaming too big, it planted a seed. And those seeds, they grow. They create adults who don't believe in themselves, adults who never take risk, who keep their heads down, who lived a quiet life full of maybe one day and what if. And the worst part, a lot of them never even try. Not because they're lazy, not because they're broken, but because they've been beaten down so many times that they're convinced the outcome is already decided. Then there's the other kind of person. The ones with a chip on a shoulder, the watch me energy. The fighters, the ones who use every insult, every doubt, every limitation placed on them as fuel. The ones who hear you can't and respond with sit back and watch. When focused on something positive, when that fire is aimed at growth, healing, or positive, these people launch. They shoot for the moon and they hit because they're not just chasing success. They're running from the pain of being told they weren't enough. And I've been both. I've been the guy who kept his head down, quietly drowning in self-doubt. I've also been the guy who got told I wasn't smart enough, strong enough, or capable enough, and hit back with action. But I didn't even realize how bad my negative self-talk was until Peaches started calling me out on it. We're not going to cry. Anytime I tear myself down out loud, even in passing, she'd stop me and say, "Excuse me." She'd say, "That's my husband you're talking about. Do you want to try that again?" And it hit me. Damn, she's right. That small correction, that moment of love and accountability helped me slow down the pattern. I still have those thoughts. Sure, they still creep in, but I don't speak them anymore. I don't give them life. I don't manifest them into the world with my voice. And that shift is a big deal. On the flip side, almost every major success I've had in my life has come from being told I couldn't do something, that I wasn't good enough, that I would never be smart enough, strong enough, successful enough. And every time, watch me. Maybe it's my deep hatred of authority. Maybe it's the fire in me that refuses to let anyone dictate my story. But those people who doubted me, who tried to box me in, tell me what I would never achieve, thank you. To the bullies, the exes, the haters, the people who threw shade or turned their back on me when I needed support, thank you. Every failed relationship that showed me that I didn't want to live, that forced me to course correct even when it hurt like hell, thank you. You gave me the clarity I needed, the pain that shaped me, the lessons that led me here, because here's the truth I had to learn the hard way. I am not the sum of my mistakes. I am not only the bad choices I've made. I am not defined by the worst decisions or versions of myself. And neither are you. Other people might choose to see you that way, but that's their opinion, their judgment, their bitterness, and it does not fucking matter. It's not your story, it's theirs. You're out here living your life, putting in the work, trying to rebuild, and they're still stuck in whatever version of you that they created in their head. That's their problem, not yours. You want a little perspective. The people you're worried about, the ones you think are judging you, they're living their lives like you don't even exist. So why are you letting their opinions rent space in your head? Why are you letting their voice be louder than your own? You want to build confidence, start by killing that voice inside that keeps dragging you back into shame. Start by refusing to speak to yourself like your worst enemy. Start by rewriting the story. One page, one workout, one hard truth at a time. You are allowed to become someone new. You are allowed to rise. And if you don't, and if they don't get it, good. Let them watch. Make them your cheerleaders. Allow all of the ugly to fuel you forward. This is how you win, focusing on you. I want to go back on something that we touched on earlier, your childhood. All that shit you heard growing up, the criticisms, the limitations, the way your feelings were dismissed, the things that were said to you when you were just a kid trying to figure out your place in the world. That's what created your cognitive bias. That's what built the lens that you now see life through. That voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable. It didn't start with you. It started with the people who were supposed to guide you. Now imagine who you'd be, who you could have been if you were never conditioned by someone else. Let that sit in for just a second. You are not responsible for your childhood. You are not to blame for your trauma. You were a kid. You were handed a script and told to perform at life that someone else wrote for you. But now you're an adult, and whether it's fair or not, you're responsible for your healing. It's not on you, and that can either feel heavy or it can feel like freedom. Here's something most people forget. We were all born creative. Every single one of us. We all used to scribble with crayons like it was our job. We imagined things, made up worlds, danced in the kitchen, and believed in magic. We were right brain thinkers by default, open, emotional, expressive. But then the world showed us. Then the world showed up. We were taught how to process emotions exactly how our parents were taught. And if they shut down, we learned to shut down. If they yelled, we learned to yell. If they dismissed our emotions, we learned that our feelings were inconvenient. We were told monsters weren't real, magic wasn't real, and neither was our dreams. Here's an example. A child says, I want to be an astronaut. And instead of wonder, excitement, curiosity, they're met with, you better really be smart for that. You'll need to do well in school. Do you even understand how hard that is? It might sound logical to an adult, but to a kid that feels like a closed door, it feels like you're not enough. Now imagine that same kid hears you do. That's amazing. Where do you want to go first? Mars, the moon? Why? That changes everything. It tells the kid, yes, you can. Yes, it's possible. Yes, your dream matters. That tiny difference, that's the seed of belief or that lack of it. In the Bible, Matthew 17:20 says, if you have faith like the grain of a mustard seed, you will say to the mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Doubt is so much bigger than a mustard seed. And whether you realize it or not, that happened to every single one of us in some way. We were shaped by what was said and what wasn't. We were shaped by how people responded to our joy, curiosity, our emotions, and then we grew up and repeated the same patterns. We even when we said we wouldn't, even when we swore we would be different. Me, I've done it. I've repeated the patterns. And honestly, some of the things that I'm telling you right now are things that I've only fully grasped in the last week or the last 6 months. It doesn't make me a bad man. This doesn't make me a bad father. That makes me human. It makes me someone who didn't know what I didn't know. It makes me someone who was ignorant, not malicious. But here's the key. I wanted to know. I chose to seek the truth, and I chose to grow because I wasn't happy, and and no one was going to fix that. I had to learn the hard truth that a lot of people never accept. My happiness is no one else's responsibility but my own. My partners, not my partners, not my parents, not my kids, mine. And that only happens when you stop believing every negative thing that is ever said to you or was ever said to you. Or every lie you started repeating about yourself. You are not your conditioning. You are not your past. You are not the script that someone handed you. You are who you chose to become. But you have to make the choice. No one's going to do it for you. And it's not going to happen if you keep hiding behind the lie that is just how it's always been. It's not truth. That's not fear. It's programming. You want to change your life? Start with the hardest truth of all. You didn't ask for your trauma, but you are responsible for your healing. Here are some more things to think about with the negative self-talk. Not just the emotional toll, but the damage it does to your entire mental health. That voice in your head, the one that constantly tells you that you are not good enough, not smart enough, not lovable, not worth it. That voice is dangerous. It's more dangerous than you think. It's not harmless. It's not just how I cope. It's not normal because it's familiar. It's wrecking you from the inside out. The more you listen to it, the more you believe it, the more it carves deep ruts into your brain. That's called rumination. Obsessively replaying your failures, picking yourself apart, dwelling on the worst case scenarios. And if you let it run unchecked, this leads down some dark roads. Here's truth backed by research. Experienced by thousands of broken people trying to crawl their way back to peace. Chronic negative self-talk and excessive rumination are linked to much higher risk of mental health disorders, like depression, because you keep telling yourself you're not enough. Eventually you'll believe it, and that will hollow you out. Anxiety, because constantly bracing for failure and or rejection puts your nervous system in a permanent state of fight or flight. PTSD, especially when self-blame is tangled up in your trauma. If you start thinking you deserved it, that's your fault. That it's your fault. OCD, where the loops in your mind don't stop, where thoughts become obsessions and rituals born out of fear. Psychosis, in extreme cases when your inner narrative becomes so distorted you lose grip on what's real. Social anxiety, because if you can't trust your own self-worth, how the hell are you supposed to feel safe around anyone else? This is what happens when we leave that inner voice unchecked. We let it run wild. We don't challenge it when we speak to ourselves in ways we would never speak to someone we love, proving that subconsciously we don't love ourselves the way that we should. And I'll say it again, you're not broken, but you might be programmed. Adjust. And you don't interpret that programming. If you don't interrupt that programming, it will control your mind, your relationships, your body, your life. So don't shrug off that voice. Don't treat it like self-talk, like background noise. Don't treat your self-talk like background noise. It's shaping who you become. And if it's toxic, it's time to cut it off at the source and rewire the damn narrative, because your survival depends on it. So does your peace, healing, and future. You've probably heard that thoughts become things. Speech. If you haven't, here it is. Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. And watch your character, it becomes your destiny. This is by Lao Tzu. It's simple, but it hits. It's not some motivational fluff. There's real truth to it. And it's not just about catching yourself when you're being negative or beating yourself up, but also about the subtle, casual ways that we let doubt speak for us. The quiet little things we say without thinking, like, I don't know if I can do that. That right there, that's a crack in the foundation. Instead, it could have been, I got this. Even if it took me 5 tutorials and messed it up 3 times, I can figure it out. That shift matters. The difference in tone, belief, it builds something in you. Because here's the thing no one wants to say out loud. I can't is poison. It's one of the most self-destructive things that you can let fall out of your mouth. It sounds innocent, harmless even, but it's not. It's corrosive. It sticks to your bones. And every time you say it, you reinforce it. You're telling yourself, you're telling your brain, your body, your soul, we don't believe in ourselves today again. And yeah, I get fired up when I hear people say it. My skin tightens, my jaw sets. I usually stop them and ask, is that what you can't? Is it that you can't or you won't? Can't or just don't know yet? Because there's a difference and it matters. I can't isn't just a phrase. It's a prison sentence you hand yourself. No trial, no appeal. You don't even try. You don't fail to learn. You don't fail and learn. You don't grow. You just opt out. And that's a tragedy, because every time you do that, you're etching a deeper belief into your identity that I'm not capable. You're writing that into your story, carving into your character. And yeah, like Lao Tzu said, your character becomes your destiny. So stop saying I can't, even if you're scared, even if you're unsure, even if you're terrible the first 10 tries. No one's good the first time. Everyone's out here winging it, messing up, adjusting, and that's how you get better. That's how you earn confidence. Saying I can't is waving the white flag before the fight starts. You rob yourself of the one shot to stumble, the lesson, and the next time it won't even feel like a choice. It will just be true because you made it true, because you spoke it to reality. So speak something better, even if it's shaky, even if your voice shakes. Say I can, say I will figure it out, say watch me. I believe we're made in the image of our Creator, and if that's true, really true, then what we say matters. Words hold weight. God spoke the world into existence. Let that sink in. He didn't build it with his hands. He spoke it, and it was. And that's not just poetry, that's power. And if we're reflections of that, then why wouldn't our words shape our reality too? Don't believe in God? How about energy, frequency, and vibrations? Because your voice is all 3. We've got more power in us than we know. Most of it just sits there dormant, ignored, unexplored. But every time you speak with intention, you crack open the door a little wider. You take the raw potential inside of you and start giving it form. And don't get it twisted. It's still going to take work. Speaking it doesn't replace the grind. It doesn't mean that you get to sit back and wait for things to show up. That's a fantasy, but it does. What it does do is light a fire. It gives you direction. It moves you from maybe to someday to starting now. When you say it will happen out loud, the conviction, with conviction, you're not just making noise. When you say it will happen out loud with conviction, you're not just making noise. You're setting the tone for everything that follows. You're aligning your thoughts, your energy, your decisions. You start looking for ways to make it real instead of reasons why it won't work. You start acting like it's possible, and that changes everything. But I can't kills on sight. Doesn't matter how much talent you have, how many resources are sitting right in front of you. I can't puts a wall between you and all of it. You might not see the wall, but it's there. It stops momentum. It stops faith. It stops effort. It kills the thing before it has a chance to live. So say it will happen. Say you can. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, even if your voice is shaking, unsure, even if you failed 100 times before, keep saying it, keep believing it, and a little more each time, and then do the work. Back it up. That's how you start speaking things into existence, because the truth is we've been doing it all along. We just didn't always realize how loud we were. Growing in a garden takes intention. You don't just throw seeds in the dirt and walk away hoping for the best. You prep the soil, you plan where things go, you make space, you pull weeds, keep the pest out, you water it, you show up for it, because if you don't, it dies. It's as simple as that. Your life works the same way. The things you focus on, the stuff you give your energy, your headspace to, that's what grows. Whether it's love, purpose, bitterness, or regret, it doesn't matter. Whatever gets the most attention becomes the loudest thing in your life, and that might not seem like a big deal now, but one day when it's all said and done, and that's exactly what you'll be left with. When you die, it won't be random. It'll be a highlight reel of everything that you paid attention to in life. That's what will flash before your eyes. Everything you fed, the moments, the patterns, the people, the obsessions, the stuff you kept going back to. So ask yourself, what do you want to see in those final seconds? Do you really want to relive hours spent numbing out on video games, sleeping through your potential, stressing over breakups, drowning in heartbreak or distractions? Is that the story that you want playing at the end? Or do you want to see purpose, fulfillment, joy? Joy that came from doing hard things, choosing growth, showing up for people, creating something that mattered. Do you want that last breath to come with a smile because you really lived, and didn't just exist? Because that's a choice. That's a choice you make every day. Right now, you're planting something with every decision. The question is, when harvest time comes, what's actually going to be there? Will it be an I can't, or will it be an I got this? Grow what matters, water what gives you peace, and be intentional with your life, because your life will reflect what you paid attention to. Oh man, I'm gonna definitely get this book done by Friday, because we're all the way to chapter 11. Thanks for hanging out. You guys are still kind of here. The numbers have dropped a little bit, but I appreciate y'all still being with me. Chapter 11. Hey, speaking of which, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, leave a comment and let me know what you think of my book. Tell me what you fucked with the most out of all of this. It'll help to drive the algorithm, and it'll make me feel good. So, the company you keep, emotional vampires and energy. We've talked about this a lot on the podcast, but I'm going to bring it up here because it matters now more than ever. You are the company you keep. Your circle, the people you spend your time with, are either pulling you forward or keeping you stuck. And if you're serious about healing, about rebuilding your life after a breakup or divorce, then you have to take a long, honest look at who's sitting at your table. If you're surrounded by people who are motivated, working on themselves, setting goals, getting wins, and healing from their own past and pushing forward, you're going to start doing the same. That mindset rubs off. The energy is contagious. It elevates you. But if your circle is full of people who live in a victim mentality, who hate their lives, hate their relationships, complain constantly, stir up drama, talk shit about their partners, but then choose to stay in toxic cycles, they will suck you right back into the pit that you've been trying to crawl out of. Maybe you don't even realize it's happening. That's the danger. Sometimes when the people closest to us are the ones quietly holding us back, just by the energy that they bring around us every day. This is the season of your life that demands an audit. Yeah, I said audit. Cold, calculated, honest. Go through your friend circle and ask yourself, who really shows up for me? Who encourages my growth? Who listens without stirring the pot? Who respects my boundaries, my healing, my future? Then ask the harder questions. Who feeds off the drama? Who keeps bringing up my ex? Who is still talking to them and running information back and forth? Who do I feel drained by every time I leave the conversation? This is a big one, and we'll get to the emotional vampire shortly. This is not about winning the social circle. This is not about who's choosing sides. This is about protecting your peace. You don't need spies. You don't need chaos designed as loyalty. You don't need people who mean well, but constantly keep you tethered to your past through gossip and back channel conversations. You need space. You need room to grow into the you that you're becoming. And that means surrounding yourself with people who match that vision, people who want to see you win, people who align with your values, people who feed your energy, not drain it, people who speak life into your goals, not remind you of your failures. That's part of manifestation too. It's not just vision boards and quotes on a mirror. It's curating your entire environment to reflect where you're going. That includes your friendships, so be ruthless if you have to. You're not being a bad friend, you're protecting your future. You're rebuilding something better, and not everyone gets to sit at the next table, gets a seat at the next table. Let them go, bless them if you need to, but keep walking. This is your reset. Build your new circle accordingly. While we're still talking about your circle, the people around you, the energy you let into your life, I need to zoom in on something even more important. We all say we say all the time that you are the company you keep, but let's take it one step further. You are your own constant companion. You will never spend more time with any other human being than you do with yourself. From the second you wake up to the second you fall asleep, you're there. From the first heartbreak to the final breath, you're there. Every moment, every mistake, every breakthrough, every silent breakdown behind closed doors, you are the only person witnessing the full weight of your journey. So before we talk about the people around you, I want you to sit with this. You are the company you keep. If you constantly belittle yourself, drown in self-doubt, let old stories and inner critics run the show, then that's your baseline energy. That's the environment that you're living in, even when you're alone. Especially when you're alone. And the problem with that is we attract people who match our energy, not who we wish we were, not who we're pretending to be online, who we actually are deep down. I believe with everything in me that we attract people who are either in the same season as us or maybe a step or two behind. That's where the familiarity lives. That's where the comfort zone exists. We find people who validate our emotional state, even if it's destructive, especially if it's destructive, because it doesn't challenge us. It doesn't confront us. It doesn't require growth. And when we meet the ones further ahead, way further ahead, we struggle to connect. It's easy to be blindsided by jealousy or envy, or to think we can somehow latch onto them. People who are way ahead of us on the healing journey. The ones living with intention, building peace, protecting their time and energy like it's sacred. They're not drawn to chaos. They're not drawn to drama, gossip, games, or self-pity, not because they're better, but because they've been there. They fought like hell to climb out of it. They know what it took to get to where they're at, and they're not going to risk it by letting energy into their life that pulls them back into the version of themselves, that version of themselves. They love their peace too much. Their healing is earned, and they're not letting it go. And guess what? You're on the same path now. But here's the truth that most people don't want to face. The universe doesn't just hand over progress, it demands sacrifice. If you want to become the best version of yourself, you're going to have to let go of everything that's anchoring you to the past. That includes unhealthy relationships, toxic friendships, the situationships, the habits, the excuses, the "this is just who I am" narrative that kept you stuck. You've got to shed the company that keeps you in survival mode, and that includes your own inner voice. The universe wants to bless you. It wants to give you more, but it's not going to bring high-frequency people and opportunities into a life that still entertains chaos. Not until you prove that you're ready to protect what's coming. And that means doing the hard work of auditing your environment, your social circle, your home, your habits, your language, your thoughts. Ask yourself this: from a how does this serve me mindset? Who am I allowing in my space? Are they reflecting the version of me I'm becoming or the version I'm trying to leave behind? Am I surrounding myself with people who speak life into me, or people who love to wallow in misery because it feels familiar? Some of these people around you, they were never meant to come with you into your next chapter. And that's not cruelty, it's evolution. This is a critical time to take inventory, to get brutally honest about who is a friend and who is an acquaintance, and who flat out doesn't belong in your life anymore. Especially those who play both sides, the ones who smile to your face and then sit at the table with your ex and carry messages back and forth. You need to do this in the mirror, face who you are, and decide, this is who I want to be. It's about protecting your peace, protecting your healing, creating room for your people, creating room for other people who are going to match the energy that you're working so hard to grow into. Because the next chapter needs space. It needs clean energy. It needs people to support you and who you're becoming, not the broken version you're shedding. It needs you to lock down your intentions and start living the life that you want, not the one you're clinging onto. So start speaking it out loud into the world. Start manifesting the tribe you deserve. The friendships that you feel safe, honest, motivating, the people that make you feel seen without dimming your light. People who clap for you when you win and check you lovingly when you fall off. That's your tribe. That's who you're calling in. But you'll never attract them while you're still clinging to a relationship built on wounds, not wisdom, so let them go. You've done surviving. Now it's time to build, protect your peace, align your circle, and never again settle for anything less than energy that moves you forward, including the voice in your own head. You have to self-rescue here. No one is coming to save you but you. Emotional vampires. This is something that I need to cover by ripping some things out of another book. I will break it down so it's easy to understand, and then I'll get into my thoughts. I'm giving credit to this, so it's not plagiarism, but all of this is control dramas. This comes from the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield, and in the book and later teachings derived from it, Redfield describes 5 main patterns of behaviors that people unconsciously use to manipulate energy or attention from others. These are formed often in childhood as survival mechanisms, and we don't get the attention or validation when we don't get the attention or validation we need. Over time, they become habitual ways of gaining controls in relationships, and then you can overlap this with Jungian psychology. Before I get into this, if you have not read the Celestine Prophecy, it's about the same size as this book. It's not a very large book, but it is a very, very good book, and I highly recommend that you read it. It tends to come into people's lives when they need it the most. Very big on synchronicity. Love that book. All right, here are the 5 control dramas. The intimidator tactic uses aggression, anger, or threatens to dominate others. The goal forces people to give them the attention or comply through fear. Energy exchange. It drains energy through force, power, and control. Origin often developed in environments where strength or violence was the only way to be heard or stay safe. Example, someone who raises their voice, uses ultimatums, or physically intimidates to get what they want. The interrogator. Tactics uses criticisms, questioning, or judgment to make others feel wrong or inadequate. Goal. Gains energy by putting others on the defensive. Energy exchange. Maintains control through disapproval or making others feel inferior. Origin. Typically from homes where perfection, performance, or appearances were overly valued. Example, someone who constantly nitpicks or challenges your choices to make themselves feel superior. The aloof. Tactic, withdraws emotionally or physically, acts mysterious or distant to draw people in. Goal, gains attention and energy by making others chase or figure them out. Energy exchange, controls by staying just out of reach, keeping others guessing. Origin, often from homes where emotions weren't safe or expression wasn't encouraged. Example, a person who withholds affection or information or seems hard to read, making others try harder to connect. The poor me or the victim. Tactic, uses guilt, sadness, or helplessness to get attention and energy. Goal, makes others feel responsible for their suffering. Energy exchange, gains energy by being rescued or consoled. Origin, often seen in people who don't feel empowered to ask for their needs directly. Example, someone who always talks about how life is unfair to them and expects others to fix it or feel sorry for them. 5 is the intimidator, victim combo, sometimes passive aggressive or switching. Tactic, alternates between threatening and withdrawing or between victimhood and control. Goal, creates confusion to keep others off balance to maintain power. Energy exchange, uses mixed signals to manipulate responses and maintain dominance. Origin, usually rooted in chaotic or abusive environments where unpredictability was a learned tool for survival. Example, A person who lashes out and then suddenly plays the victim while, when confronted, keeping others in a constant state of emotional whiplash. In Jungian psychology, Jungian connections to the 5 control dramas. I just wanted to actually tie this into real psychology. The intimidator, the shadow warrior, archetyped in shadow. Jungian lens, the intimidator is someone who has over-identified with power, dominance, and control, traits that may be part of the warrior archetype, but corrupted by the shadow. Shadow traits: rage, aggression, control, and domination. Unconscious drive, a fear of powerlessness or being insignificant. This person projects strength to mask internal weakness or trauma. Jung would say this is the result of a disowned shadow. The person hasn't integrated their aggressive impulses and instead externalizes them to control others. The interrogator, this is the judge or critic archetype. Jungian lens, the interrogator aligns with the inner critic or judge archetype and becomes toxic when projected outward. It's often rooted in the superego, heavily influenced by early authoritative figures, parents and teachers. Shadow traits: judgment, analysis without compassion, mental manipulation. Unconscious drive, a need to feel superior to avoid vulnerability. And Jung would say this drama is an overcompensation for personal insecurity. The person projects criticism to avoid their own feelings of inadequacy or inferiority. The aloof, the mystic or hermit archetype in shadow. Jungian lens, the aloof represents a distorted version of the mystic observer or hermit archetypes. While these figures hold wisdom, when shadowed, they disconnect from emotion and vulnerability. Shadow traits: emotional detachment, coldness, and inaccessibility. Unconscious drive, fear of being seen or hurt. They maintain distance to control how others perceive them. And Jung would say that this person is avoiding integration of their feelings, of their feeling function. In Jung's typology, often appearing in thinking dominant types who suppress emotion. The poor me or the victim, the wounded child or martyr archetyped. Jungian lens, the victim draws energy from the pity and helplessness. This echoes the wounded child, martyr, or orphan archetypes and their negative expressions. Shadow traits: self-pity, passive control, guilt-tripping others. Unconscious drive, despite need for validation and love without having to ask directly. Jung would say this is an undeveloped ego that never matured past early wounds. The individual remains stuck in a child consciousness, using suffering as currency. The passive-aggressive switch, the trickster archetype. Jungian lens, this drama reflects the trickster in its shadow form, deceptive, unpredictable, manipulative, and thrives in confusion and chaos. Shadow traits: gaslighting, emotional instability, feigned innocence. Unconscious drive, deep mistrust of others, fear of abandonment, need for control through unpredictability. Jung would say the trickster is vital for change, but when unintegrated, it becomes destructive. This person uses misdirection and confusion as a defense mechanism instead of facing the truth. Jung believed we all carried a persona, the mask we wear, and a shadow, the disowned parts of self. All 5 control dramas can be seen as shadow projections, disowned traits that we cast onto others, ego defenses, trying to protect our self-image or gain security, the archetypal distortions, misusing inner energy patterns. The key to transformation, according to both Jung and Redfield, is awareness. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Control dramas are exactly that. Unconscious behaviors we use to direct or manipulate life, but once they are exposed to light, we gain the ability to choose a different way, one rooted in authenticity, not defense. Now that I've laid all of this out, and I truly hope it makes sense, this was actually really fucking hard for me to put together, so I really hope it made sense. I need you to take a breath and let it sink in. Everything that we've talked about, energy, your environment, your circle, your healing, your habits, it just isn't about self-improvement. It's about self-preservation. It's about learning to read the room, read people, read patterns, and finally protect your peace like it's your lifeline. Because once you start seeing it, once it clicks, once you understand this stuff, you start noticing the way that people vie for energy, how they pull from you, how they drain you without saying a word, How some people cling to you not because they love you, but because you make them feel better about their own shitty existence. Get a drink. And here's the thing some people do. Here's the thing. Some people do it without even realizing it. They're not malicious. They're not evil. They're just lost, unhealed. They haven't figured out how to source their own light. So they attach themselves to yours. They lean in a little too hard, need a little too much, and eventually you feel like you're carrying them. Then there are others, the ones who do know exactly what they're doing. They play helpless to get your attention. They drop subtle guilt trips to keep you close. They suck just enough of your peace that you don't notice at first, but over time, you're drained, angry, anxious, disconnected from yourself, and you can't figure out why. Those are emotional vampires. The ones who manipulate, the ones who perform pain to gain access. They don't want to heal. They want to feed on your time, on your strength, on your attention, on your energy. If you heal and see what's going on, they lose their buffet of energy. They will likely attack you, blame you, make you the villain of every story they can tell, which will allow them to find their next victim while feeding off of who will listen in the meantime. And the more you understand all of this, the more tuned in you become, the easier it is to spot them, to feel the shift, to recognize when your inner peace starts leaking out just by being in someone's presence. But here's where accountability comes in. Once you know all of this, you can no longer blame them. Yeah, it sucks. You didn't ask for it. It's not fair that some people only show up to take. But once you see it, once you get it, once the red flags stop looking like flares and finally look like what they are, it's on you. It's on you to set the boundary. It's on you to remove the patterns. It's on you to stop letting people drain you because it's easier than having an uncomfortable conversation. And make no mistake, if you allow it to continue after knowing better, you're not a victim anymore. You're making a choice. You are choosing the drain. You are choosing the dysfunction. You are choosing to stay in circles that are no longer happening to you, but are now maintained by you. And I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm saying that to free you, because the moment you take that kind of responsibility, you realize how much power you actually have. You don't owe your energy to anyone who misuses it. You don't have to explain your boundaries to people who violate them. You don't need permission to walk away from people who don't value your peace. You just have to be willing to choose better every time. So now that you know, will you protect yourself? Will you protect your energy and stop choosing the very people and patterns that keep costing you your peace? Whenever we submit our will, whenever we submit your will, and your will is a gift to us, whenever we submit your will to someone else's opinion, a part of us dies, by Lauryn Hill. All right, I have just a little bit more time to keep reading. I'm sorry I have to answer this because my wife is messaging me. Sorry, guys. Whenever you submit your will, and our will is a gift to us, whenever we submit your will to someone else's opinion, a part of us dies. I think there's typos in there. All right, this is the part where we do the work. This is the turning point, the shift, the moment where you stop just reading and start digging. So grab your journal and get ready to go deep. No more avoiding, no more justifying, no more pretending that this is all about everyone else. It's time to take a good hard look at what's actually driving your behavior, your reactions, your emotional patterns. Let's look at them. What are yours? What patterns do you fall into when things feel uncertain or out of control? What role do you play to manipulate outcomes, whether you realize it or not? Now ask yourself, what were your ex's control dramas? What about your parents, close friends? This isn't about pointing fingers or placing blame. It's about understanding. It's about understanding, awareness, truth. Take your time here. You want to understand and get it right. You're not doing this to shame yourself. You're doing this to free yourself. The main control drama you may find in yourself, that's right, there's the main control you find, the main control drama you find in yourself, that right there, that's a window to an unhealed part of you. That's a wound, a scar, a soft spot that formed when you didn't feel safe or seen or supported. And that control drama was your way of filling a void. Most of the time, control dramas are rooted in trauma and neglect. Sometimes they're taught, passed down from parents, and modeled in relationships. Sometimes they're just the only tools you had to deal with emotional chaos. But no matter where they came from, the truth is the same. Control dramas are how we manipulate, even when we don't realize we're doing it. And now that you know better, you've got a chance to heal it. So write it out, call yourself out, get specific, be honest. Do you play the victim to gain sympathy and avoid responsibility? Do you get aggressive when you feel threatened so that you can dominate and feel powerful? Do you withdraw emotionally to make others chase you so that you can feel wanted? Do you use guilt, silence, deflection, distraction, or passive aggression? Write it down in your journal, pick it apart, and then once you've faced all of your stuff, start looking outward. Look at your ex, look at your parents, look at the people closest to you, but do it from a place of compassion, not judgment. All right. This isn't about trashing them. This is about stirring up resentment. This isn't about stirring up resentment or weaponizing what you have learned. It's about decoding the patterns so that you can protect your peace and navigate your relationship with clarity. Because once you recognize these control dramas and others, you stop getting sucked into them. You stop reacting to the same way. You start seeing red flags for what they are, patterns, not personal attacks, triggers, not truths. You'll know when someone's playing the poor me card to manipulate. A conversation you'll notice when someone's dominating every interaction to avoid vulnerability. You'll feel it in your gut when someone goes silent, not out of peace, but as punishment. And when you can see it, you can decide, is this someone I want in my circle? That's the power of this work. Not just healing yourself, but becoming someone who chooses better boundaries, better people, better peace. And remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. I know all this talk about energy might sound a little hippy dippy to some of you. Hell, it used to sound crazy to me too. Like, what the hell does energy have to do with healing from a divorce or rebuilding your life? But the deeper I go into it all, the journaling, the self-awareness, the behavioral patterns, the trauma work, the more it all started to connect. It's not just spiritual fluff. It's psychology. It's neuroscience. It's about understanding how we work, why we do the things we do, and why we keep repeating the same cycles over and over when we know they're not good for us. That's why I tie it to Jungian theory, because when you break this stuff down in terms of psychology, it starts to make real grounded sense. Carl Jung didn't just talk about personality types or archetypes for fun. He was also onto something massive. He understood that our behaviors come from patterns, from unmet needs, from shadows that we try to hide or control. Every one of us is fighting for something we didn't get: validation, attention, control, safety, affection, and respect. And if we never had those needs met consistently, we build defense mechanisms to survive, behavioral patterns to get what we needed. We created identities around them, and over time, we leaned on them so heavily, they just became who we thought we were. But what you've got to understand is this: just because it worked before doesn't mean it's working now. Your brain is doing exactly what it's wired to do. It's taking the path of least resistance, the familiar road, the shortcut to whatever version of safety you've always known. That's how the brain operates. It's designed to be efficient. It forms neural pathways, habits, responses, emotional reactions, and defaults to the same pathways when the stress hits, when emotional spikes, when emotions spike, when you feel threatened or unseen, because those patterns worked once. They gave you what you needed, or at least made you feel like they did. So now your brain's saying, let's do that again. That's the fastest way out of this discomfort. But here's the problem. You're not the same person anymore. You don't want that same outcome. You're trying to grow, and those old patterns are not, those old patterns are in the way now. The good news, neuroplasticity is real. You're not stuck. You're not broken. Your brain is not hardwired for suffering. You can form new pathways. You can build new habits. You can rewire how you respond, how you speak, how you think, and how you show up. But it's not passive. It takes work. It takes noticing the behavior in real time and stopping it, and takes rewiring the trigger. It takes choosing unfamiliar paths, the ones that feel awkward at first, the one your brain resists until that becomes the new normal. I hate that term, but conveys my point. This is the energy. This is why energy talk matters, because energy just isn't a vibe. It's your behavior. It's your reaction. It's your presence. It's the ripple you send out into the world with every choice you make. We are all made up of energy. It moves between everything we interact with. Protect it. And if you want to shift your energy, if you want to become someone who operates from peace, from self-awareness, from power, then yeah, you've got to do the internal rewiring. You got to call out your patterns, take control of your triggers, and walk yourself down a new path, even if you have to crawl the first few times. You're not crazy for struggling with this. You're not weak for falling into old habits. You're just human. That gets us to chapter 12, which is actually my favorite chapter of the book. We're going to come back to that tomorrow, and I'm going to finish this entire book tomorrow and get this out to you guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to actually listen to this. I know that some of you are probably struggling to listen to me read this. It's not easy for me to read out loud. I feel very on the spot and kind of uncomfortable, but I do believe that this book is going to help people. So if you guys are finding value in this, or you have somebody that you think needs this, I have created a playlist on YouTube that will be for this book. So if you're a subscriber to our YouTube channel, you can just send the entire playlist. This will go live obviously today. Tomorrow I'll have the other one up. So all three of these should be up by the end of the week, which by the time you guys are watching this, that probably won't matter. But that's it. My wife is on the way home with the kids and the dog. So I'm going to go be a husband for the rest of the evening. And thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you tomorrow.